This conference will now be recorded.
Good morning, EOF scholars. Happy Tuesday. This morning we will have a workshop called Backpack to Career, Dress for Success. So here are a few Dress for Success quotes, and these are things you need to keep in mind because unfortunately in society that we live in, people judge you. You know, they say the first 20 seconds of a meeting when it's a new person, they're already assessing, kind of, are you a good fit for a position or what your character might be just by how you look, how you smile, your body language, your handshake even. So one of the quotes is, dress how you want to be addressed. Okay. And that's pretty powerful because you want to be taken seriously. You're not going to show up somewhere, in a tube top and flip flops for our young ladies, or, like a tank top and Bermuda shorts for our young men. Image is very important. People judge you by the way you look on the outside. Now, is that fair? I would say no, all the time. It's not fair. But organizations, businesses, nonprofits have certain cultures that they subscribe to. And again, it's about assessing if you are a good fit for that organization, business, and if you're going to be in alignment with the culture that they've already established. So our objectives for today are, we're going to define personal and professional brand. We're going to review business dress, business casual, and casual dress for both men and women. There are very distinct differences, and we're going to go through them. You're going to understand the importance of choosing the right look for the right job, and that's critically important as well. If you're looking for a job here on campus or in fast food or retail, you're going to dress one way. And then perhaps if you're looking for a position, for a corporation or a nonprofit, you may dress another way. We're going to talk a little bit about grooming considerations. We're going to identify some resources in the area that help you get that professional look on a budget. And then your assignment will be your personal action plan to improve your professional image. So this is branding and imaging, which will lay the foundation for our workshop to come on Monday. That's about, it's an extension of this around branding and imaging, but also including emotional intelligence. So for today, if you can get a pencil or use your phone, I know you can use your phone for your notes, and you'll need a piece of paper. If you're at home, you can get a pen and pencil and a piece of paper. Those are the materials that you're going to need. So if we're defining personal and professional brand, right? In the chat, well, personal and professional brand. So who can tell me what you believe the personal and professional brand is? How would you define personal and professional brand? Either unmute or type it in the chat. How you present yourself. Love that. Yes. Anybody else want to take a try? Rashe says, how you present yourself. All right, well, he's spot on with that. The way you show up and, whatever your attire is, your personality, all of that is a part of your professional brand. How you respond to stress, even in the workplace, that's called your steadiness. All of that is a part of your professional brand. Next, what we want to do, and this is, these are some of the ways that people may perceive you, but let's list in the chat adjectives that would represent a person with a negative brand. So type in the chat something that would represent a negative a negative brand. Type that in the chat so we can create a list. I'm going to write them down. And I need you to type you can type as many as you can think of because we want to create a long list. So torn clothing, Lisa wrote, but what would be the adjective to describe torn clothing? So we want the statement like, Tiffany looks, like tattered today. So like torn clothing, messy, perfect. So negative would be messy. What else might negative brands be?
All right, guys, you need to participate. Let's go.
No,
Dirty.
unmotivated. Unmotivated could be one, but would somebody tell that you're unmotivated by just looking at you? Dirty. Dirty would be awful if you showed up somewhere and you were actually dirty. I don't know if that's how you spell it. Smelling. Body language is one thing that you would see, but if you're looking at how a person just at a glance, how would you describe them? If you haven't posted anything, we've got smelly. Oh, yes. Rashay says, LOL, slutty. But it's true. You'll have some young ladies that'll show up in very low-cut blouses or very short skirts. That is not sending the professional message that we want to send, okay? All right, so now let's flip it and let's go and list adjectives for positive brands. How would you describe someone who's showing up and they have that professional look about them and you're like, this person is ready? Suit and tie is what they might wear. How would you describe that? Professional, right, Rashay? Let's see. We can say, I don't know. So this one can go either way. Clean. So I'm thinking trendy or fashionable, right? Those could be positive, but they could also go in the negative too. So you have to be very careful with, following trends. You want to follow the more conservative professional trends for the business world. Correct. That would be in the 80s, Lisa. No shoulder pads. What other professional positive brands can you think of? Let's see. And it's really funny that it seemed like it was easier for you to come up with those negative brands than it is for positive adjectives for positive brands, right? Let's see. Someone go on their phone and Google positive personal brands. We need a few more. And I don't want to leave the topic until we can list some more. So scholars, if you can go on your phone and Google positive personal brands and tell me what you come up with. Either unmute or type it in the chat. So do that quickly for me. We'll just take a few seconds to organize. Very good. If you show up and someone takes a look at you, they can tell, you know, that you're organized. Okay, Rashe, you said maybe you're on images. Go to like all in your Google. But the people that are popping up, how do they look? They all look rich. Well, part of this presentation is going to show you that you can do it on a budget. You don't have to spend a lot of money to look, you know, well put together. All right, so now what I want you to do is type in the chat if you believe that you have a personal brand. Yes or no? Do you have a personal brand? So we have yes, and we have not really, we have no, we have yes. So for our yeses, because hopefully everyone with a no will determine right now what you want your business brand to be. So type in the chat, and then you need to write this on your paper or in your notes, because this will be a part of your action plan at the end of this presentation, what you want your brand to be, or either what your current brand is. Okay, so type in the chat and then write it on your paper or type it in your notes on your phone if you're using your phone, and tell me what your personal brand is or what you would like for it to be. So for me, you know, my personal brand tends to be stylish and professional. So a bit of my personality shines through. I believe in my fashion sense, the clothes that I tend to select for myself. I think at our work environment here at Warren County, we can be a little bit more, casual. So we're more of a business casual to casual environment, where I worked at a previous institution, and it was definitely leaning more professional and, business casual for the most part. Okay, so we've got semi-professional, we've got stylish, but unique. Basically, you don't want to be the same as everyone else. Greg, Ellen, who else do we have on?
Amanda, Alex.
Amanda and Alex. Just type in the chat what your brand is currently, or what you would like for it to be, because you're going to work on establishing it. And we're talking about, like, if you're going on a job interview, and for some people, they might say that your brand and your image is something that you portray every day, because you never know who you might meet in what circle. and how that might, benefit you in the future. Part of our speaker's presentation on Monday, she has a book called Discover Your Best Self. And that book really emphasizes showing up with your A game every single day. And for college students, is that something that's realistic? When you're, on the shuttle, driving in, coming from work, juggling all of that? Perhaps not. However, you do want to bring your A game in every aspect of your life. And if that means you want to show up to class in, jeans and a t-shirt, very neat, that's great. But then you'll have some students that'll show up in fluffy slippers and pajama bottoms. Is your professor going to take that person as seriously as someone who's showing up in something casual? All right, so let's see what you've got here. Organized and prepared is how you want to be perceived. We've got neat, positive, dress for success. Ellen, I know Ellen is in the car. So Ellen, I don't see anything from you. Oh, nope, to everyone. Hold on. Did I miss it, Ellen? Okay, so Ellen, you know what? That is, and we're going to get to that, I guess, just appropriate. All right. And so appropriate is a great answer. And we're going to talk about what appropriate looks like. Okay. And if you're, being greeted by, a future employer, you want them to perceive you as definitely appropriate. Okay, let's move on. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take a look at business dress, business casual, and casual dress for men and women. So this slide I thought was interesting. I found this online, and these were some of the strangest interview outfits that people have actually showed up for an interview that managers have heard of or have seen. Okay. So is there anything on this list that surprises you? I mean, for me, it was a swimsuit and a cover-up. Unmute yourself and tell me which surprises you the most. So Amanda says spandex. Anything else that completely, floors you? You're like, I can't believe.
I mean, seriously, a cat suit. What the heck?
And then someone just mentioned the shirt made out of plastic. And again, we don't know what job interviews, like what the advertisement, the job advertised was, but I don't know that there's a particular job, professional job, I would say, that any of these outfits would be suited for. So these are some of the do's and don'ts of our interview attire. So we're going to do what's called popcorn reading. So I'm just going to go in the order that I see the tiles. So Lisa, can you read the first don't?
Don't assume you can dress down even if a company has a very casual atmosphere.
Okay, next is Alex. If you can read the first do.
On the conservative side, and oh, that's what means. I was
Yes.
very confused for a moment. On the conservative side and wear a suit or blazer. If you're working with a recruiter or HR representative, ask him or her for insight into the dress code.
Correct. Rashay, can you read the second don't, please? Okay, so Rashay's headphones are broken, but you should be on the laptop. Your laptop on your microphone is broken on the laptop. So I'll read Rashay's. Where anything that is uncomfortable, don't do that. So next, Ellen, are you able? Oops, I went backwards. Ellen, can you please read the second do? Do for the second do.
Test drive an outfit to ensure it fits well and makes you feel confident. Also, dress in layers so you can be at ease regardless of the temperature.
And I think this is really important because if it's hot in the interview room, you want to be able to take off your jacket. And for our ladies, you don't want to have a bustier on, right? Even though it looks good under the jacket, or a tank top that has spaghetti straps, because then you'll be a little too exposed. You want a blouse on that if you take your jacket off, you're still dressed professionally. Greg, I don't know if you're not feeling well enough to read the third don't. If you are, just unmute yourself and do it. If not, I'll read it for you. Okay, so I guess I'll read it. Show up in clothing that is wrinkled, that is, don't show up in clothing that is wrinkled, stained, or torn. And Amanda, if you can read the third don't, please.
Pay attention to details and conduct a final head-to-toe assessment before leaving the house to ensure everything, including your hair, nails, and shoes, is presentable.
Perfect. I mean, that's the best advice you could have, because you want to make sure that you're leaving and you haven't overlooked something that you may need to correct before you leave.
If I can just add something, Tiffany.
Sure.
When I was in high school, we did mock interviews where we actually went to professional companies and, you know, and they interviewed us to kind of teach us how the interview process works. And one of the comments that I received back was that I was constantly playing with my hair throughout the interview. So if you're somebody who is playing with your hair and things like that, make sure you put your hair up so that that's not a temptation for you, because that can distract your interviewer, and, you know, you don't want that to be the takeaway from your interview.
And that is definitely something that you need to think about. And also, that's the perfect segue into the next don't, which is don't over accessorize. If you are a fidgeter, having, you know, a bracelet or a ring or anything that might be something that could be a distraction during an interview is something that you just don't want to wear, because you want to be able to, focus on what you're going to be saying and answering the questions that you're asked. So you want to choose simple jewelry and be subtle with your makeup, perfume, and cologne. You also don't want to blow people out of the room with, a excessive amount of cologne. Or for some of us who wear our scented, Bath and Body Works lotion, some of those lotions are pretty strong, and then if you layer it with a perfume, it could be a bit overwhelming.
Avoid that cactus one, Tiffany. The cactus one, avoid that in all interviews, or just in general.
And then you also want to be sensitive to the potential interviewers' allergies, right? So you just want to be very subtle. So next we're going to do an activity, and it is going to be the do's and don'ts, and I'm going to show you pictures of outfits of people, dressed, and then I want you in the chat to determine if it is appropriate for a job interview or not. So you'll type appropriate if it is in the chat, and if it's not appropriate, you're going to just type not appropriate. Are we ready? Type in the chat yes if you are ready. All right, all right. So the first outfit, appropriate or not? Yeah, I think we're waiting for a few more posts. All right. Is that everybody? Okay. So maybe I should have caveated this appropriate or not with, we're talking for professional, like corporate business type interviews. So interestingly enough, all of our scholars said, yes, this is appropriate. And our college, staff, Lisa, says that it is not appropriate. Lisa, why would you say that it's not appropriate?
So the pants are showing a lot too much leg, for sure. The shoes, the high heels, I definitely would say are inappropriate for a business atmosphere, because the reality of wearing those shoes all day long is not a good one. She has something hanging. I can't tell if that's a scarf or if it's part of the shirt. Again, not appropriate. And she just overall looks way too casual.
Correct. So the correct answer is that this is not appropriate, okay? For a professional business environment. So, and part of the problem is that this is her personal fashion sense or style. Those pants look like more like leggings, or like not technically like like a stretch pant, right? Maybe this might be appropriate if you were going to work in a retail environment, but certainly not a professional business or office environment where folks are showing up more in suits and ties and, skirts and dresses. Next outfit, appropriate or not? Type it in the chat. We have like 6 more slides to go through for appropriate or not, so. And like Amanda, you can type yes instead of appropriate because that's shorter to type. Okay, so this is appropriate. So what makes this outfit appropriate? No skin, very conservative. The suit, the fact that she's wearing a suit. She definitely looks very professional. I think in the past, a lot of branding, and personal style, they would always suggest that you wear a dark colored suit to an interview. I think now if you can be a little bit more stylish and wear a bit of color. Okay, next slide. Appropriate or not? So yes or no? Okay, so the yeses are coming in. This outfit is appropriate. And he has very clean and shine shoes, a 2-piece suit, a very nice shirt and tie. You can tell that his hair is combed and very nicely styled. Appropriate or not? I have one no so far. No, no, not. All right. So this young lady, while she looks really nice, she looks like she could be, going out on a date or, shopping at the mall, meeting some girlfriends. This is a nice casual weekend look, but definitely not appropriate for a job interview. Is this appropriate or not? Correct. Even though he has on a nice two-piece suit, shirt, and tie, tell me what's wrong with this picture. What's wrong with the picture? I can identify at least 1, 2, 3, 4 things. He's messy. Rashay says his pants don't match. Amanda just said it looks off. The suit, the jacket doesn't fit. The jacket doesn't fit. The shirt sleeves are too long. Rashay says this is a bad haircut. This is actually the same guy from earlier, a few earlier slides. This picture just doesn't show his hair combed. His pants length is too short. And I'm not sure if I said his tie is too long, but it's definitely not a good look. So is this appropriate or not? So yeah, he did change the tie. The answer key for these slides says that yes, this is appropriate, but I would argue that that tie is way too busy for a job interview. So I would wear something a little bit more subtle, not something that stands out so much. But I will contradict that with the fact that I was on a panel for an assistant director's position for a college, and the candidate came in and he had a bow tie on, and it was a custom bow tie. I don't know if you're familiar with the game Scrabble, right? So his tie was made out of Scrabble tiles. And he was also an alumni from the college where he was interviewing for an admissions position. So during the interview, definitely that bow tie caught everyone's attention. The interview panelists were like, oh, that is so cool. So it was a conversation starter. So I would argue that if the piece is a positive conversation starter and it relates to the position that you're applying for, then by all means you can do that. But I would still be cautious because it could backfire. So you're always safer going with a more traditional and conservative look. Okay, the next one, is this appropriate or not? So we've got yeses coming in. She looks very nice, well put together, very professional. Lisa's adverse to high heels. What I would say too for our young ladies is that you do need to be cautious if you're going on an interview and it's more from the car to the boardroom and you're just going to be sitting there. But sometimes they have you walking around. If your feet start to hurt, it's going to be one of those don'ts where you don't want to be uncomfortable and you don't want your feet throbbing while you're trying to concentrate on answering questions. So that's one thing you need to be cautious about. But high heels are appropriate for an interview. You just want them to be very comfortable. So Lisa has never wear brand new shoes. That's really key. You want to make sure, I think one of our do's was to test ride or to try on your outfit and your shoes in advance. You want to make sure that you're going to be comfortable. Appropriate or not? Okay, yes, it's coming in. So yes, this is appropriate, but I would also say that her neckline on her blouse is just at the spot where you don't want it to be any lower, because like Lisa just put in the chat, it's getting a little on the low cut side. And you don't want the interviewer, male or female, to be focusing on the wrong area. You want them focusing on your face and the words coming out of your mouth. Appropriate or not? No. And what makes this outfit inappropriate is simply he doesn't have his shirt tucked in. He's looking a bit too casual. Appropriate or not? So Rache says a big no. We've got no's coming in. So according to the answer key, this person is dressed appropriately with a cardigan and a pair of dress pants and heels. It's definitely not as professional as some of the other looks, but depending on where you're interviewing, I would say this one is more on the borderline. If all you have is a cardigan and a pair of dress pants, then you would be, as appropriate as possible. Not everyone has everything in the wardrobe that they need, okay? So sometimes you have to work with what you have until you get the job, and then you can buy the clothes that you need for that position. Appropriate or not? So yes, this would be considered appropriate, even though he doesn't have on a tie. He has on a belt, nice dress pants, his shoes. I think his hair is more done than in the other slides where it was really disheveled. But this looks like a guy that could potentially, work on a team. Appropriate or not? No, no, no. Yeah. So while she looks stylish and it's a nice little outfit, her necklace is a bit too trendy and could be a distraction. This would be potentially something you would fiddle with. Her neckline is just at that border where it's getting a bit low. And, it doesn't look like something that she should wear to an interview or a professional interview. This could be a look, again, if you're working in retail. And it depends on the job, Rashe. You're correct. So if this looks like something your teachers would have worn in high school, it's likely that was the culture in your school, because a lot of teachers, are able to express their style. She's not overexposed for sure, but if she's comfortable and That's her look for the classroom. It's likely, like Lisa posted in the chat, that she didn't show up for her job interview in this outfit. So understanding the importance of choosing the right look for the job. So we saw in those slides, you know, what a traditional business attire would look like, some of the business casual, and that would be more that cardigan with those pants. And then the last look, while it was not appropriate for an interview, once you have the job, if you're looking for a more casual dress, then that would be appropriate. We also were able to assess some of the grooming considerations, you know, in terms of the hair and the styling. You want to be focused on, you know, clean manicured nails. For our young ladies, you don't want for your interview long, distracting, you know, designs or colors on your nails. A lot of the hygiene issues came up. You wanting to make sure that you were clean, you were neat, that you smelled good, but not too overwhelming with cologne. And through those slides, we didn't see anything about piercings and tattoos, but depending on your position and the culture of the organizations, you may need to determine if piercings and exposed tattoos would be acceptable for that company. So these are just a few resources to help you look professional on any budget. So there's a Dress for Success North Jersey, which is in Morris County, and I included the link because they have a criteria for how you can access the clothes that they have. Oh yes, I'll add that to the slide, Lisa. So the Salvation Army store in Hackettstown. Can you type in the chat if any of you have shopped in any of these stores, like a thrift store or the Salvation Army, Kohl's? I love Burlington, formerly known as Burlington Coat Factory, Walmart, or if you've had an interview and maybe you've borrowed something from a friend or a family member. Kohl's, but I go through thrift stores all the time. Anyone else? Okay, so your assignment, okay, will be, let's see. So this assignment, Lisa, we're gonna have them have this due at, this can actually be due on Monday, okay? That way it gives you the weekend to go through, and I want you to do a little wardrobe inventory. I want you to identify if you have in your closet appropriate clothing options for a professional interview, your shoes or any accessories that you may wear. And then I want you to determine if you don't have it, what those would be categorized under your wardrobe needs. So if you are looking for a suit, but you have a nice jacket, but you need a skirt or a pair of pants, then that would be under your needs category. All right. And then once you've completed the look, I want you to take a selfie of what that outfit looks like. So you're going to do two things. You're going to write down, and earlier you wrote down what your brand was, your professional brand. So if that was, you know, appropriate, one person wrote, then appropriate would then be, or, you know, stylish and unique. Then the options that you're pulling out of your closet would then reflect in your selfie that you're going to take. So you would be turning in a short, description of if you have the appropriate clothing or what you need in your wardrobe, and then also a selfie, a picture, or have someone take a picture. And Rashe, you have none of my clothes are interview appropriate. So, and I hate to like put it in this perspective, let's reframe. If you had to go to a wedding or something more formal, baby christening, you would need to, have a pair of dress pants or a pair of khakis. So it doesn't need to be a suit and tie, but it would need to be, maybe a button-down shirt or a polo and a pair of khakis, something to that effect. So it doesn't need to be a high-end look, but give us the best look that you can come up with out of your closet. And then if you don't have anything in your closet, after you've done your inventory, then all of those items would need to be in your wardrobe needs. Okay? The idea is on Monday, when you come to our sessions in the afternoon, that for the Discover Your Best Self workshop, I want you to bring your A game. And she's going to talk all about your A game. And if your A game on that day is, a pair of, khaki shorts or a pair of shorts and a polo shirt because you don't have anything, your assignment says, my wardrobe needs all of these different items, that is fine. Because I don't want you to go out, but I repeat, do not want you to go out and go shopping for anything over the weekend or during the week for this assignment. This is just your own wardrobe inventory. We need to identify what you need so that in the future we can use those resources on a budget to make sure that you are able to get those items in your closet. Okay? So either take a picture of this slide. Lisa will email this to you also. And I'm going to add some of the additional resources to the resource slide. Okay, I'm going to exit out of this. Well, are there any questions about personal brand, your personal and professional brand, about the do's and don'ts of your wardrobe? Okay, if there are no questions, then excuse me.